Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching. And I'm sure you're wondering, what is this? What is this bike? And what is all this stuff laying everywhere? And where's the SV650? Well, I'm going to get to that. The XSR is looking good. Nothing wrong with that. It's just wintertime. There's frost out, and tomorrow there's supposed to be snow. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to discuss this incident. So this is what they call Houston, we have a problem. A big problem at that. And I'm going to get into what the issue is. But first I want to mention that this is my friend John's bike. You've seen it on a previous video, probably a couple of them. And I'm going to tell you why it's here and why I'm doing this video instead of anything on the SV650. Well, this is a, I think, 2014 FJR1300. And my buddy John was going to do a valve check on this bike. Well, he's done one before, not on this bike, but his previous FJR. And everything was supposed to go normal. And we had an incident. And I searched high and low on YouTube trying to find a video on somebody that had the same thing happen to them, but no luck. There's plenty of videos out there on valve checks, how to do valve checks, all that stuff. But what nobody else covered is what happens if it goes wrong. And I'm going to tell you what happened. So let's take a look at this engine here. So as you can see, we got it tore apart. Excuse me while I try to hold this light. And you can see that each valve, or each cylinder has two valves, right? I'm trying to hold this light, I'm sorry. Anyway, let me just put it right here. So you got two valves, two valves per cylinder. So this is the intake side here. This is the exhaust side here. And as you can see, there's 1, 2 for each cylinder. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, everything's fine. So as I mentioned before, this is the intake side, and this is the exhaust side. So John was doing the valve checks, and come to find out that a couple of the valves were out of spec. So this has a bucket system, shim and bucket. You can see the bucket right there. So that's the bucket there. Underneath there's a small little shim, and he was trying to do the replacement of the shim, and you can't really see it very well, but this one over here, there's two on this side, one on the left side of this cylinder and one on the right. So he was trying to pull that shim out. So this cam was lifted up out of the way at the time. We have done put it back together. But as he pulled this shim out, or the bucket, I should say, the shim was stuck to the bottom of the bucket. And let me put this down there so I can hold the light. So when he pulled it out, if you can see down in that hole, right at the end of the magnet there, the shim fell down that hole. And what that hole is a oil drain passage. And I'm trying to get the light down in there, but not having any luck. Anyway, if you can see where the magnet is, the end of the magnet, there's a hole there. And it goes all the way down into the, or supposedly goes all the way down into the oil pan. It's like a return drain passage. So we searched and searched, try to figure out what that hole is, and that's how we figured it out. So now, mind you, I wasn't there for that incident. John was doing this in his garage, and I asked him about the shim, and he says he swears it went down that hole. He's also went to the trouble of checking the entire floor inch by inch to make sure that it didn't go, we were just concerned to make sure that it didn't go like on the outside of the cylinder head here and fall down, and the metallic sound that he heard, to make sure that it didn't hit the exhaust manifold and actually fall on the floor. We're to make sure that it's actually down in the engine. And so we magneted all around up in here. Of course, there's nowhere for it to go. We stuck the magnet up underneath, back in there underneath the springs to make sure that it didn't get lodged there. Also check down in the piston in these holes just to make sure. I do have a scope, and John had a scope, but he broke his. But I have a scope with a camera on it that I stuck down in there just to look around, make sure. So we searched that thing high and low, nowhere to be found. So we're pretty confident, 99.9% sure that it's down in that hole. So what do? Has to come out. So we stuck cameras down there, magnets down there, but the way the hole is shaped, there's things in the way that just won't let it let your camera go any farther. You can only go about, I don't know, 6 inches or so, and then there's obstructions, so you can't put the camera down any further. Same thing with a magnet, and as you can see, I have a wand magnet that just pretty much extends as long as you need it to go. We have a couple other magnets, a little stronger ones, but this one is skinny and it should do the trick. It's a pretty strong magnet. But anyway, no luck. No luck on finding this shim. So what do? We take mineral spirits. Well, John took mineral spirits and dumped it down in there, hoping it would wash it down. And according to the manual and everything, it said that it should wash down into the oil pan. So what do? We take off the exhaust. As you can see, the exhaust is gone because the exhaust runs directly up underneath the oil pan and pretty much touches. So we took off the oil pan, and as you can see, the oil pan is removed. And so we went up in here with a magnet, and we were magneting all around. We took the camera up in there, and we were looking around, and no luck on finding it. We also took an air compressor with compressed air and put a blow hose down that hole. And we shot air down in there, hoping that it would shoot the shim out the bottom. Well, no luck. So this thing is stuck in there somewhere. Again, I don't know that for a fact, but John swears by it. So I'm going to believe that. And anyway, so it's stuck in there. So now we're at a point where, what do? Well, I call somebody I know at Yamaha, who's a mechanic with Yamaha. And his suggestion is take this engine apart and find that shim. Otherwise, you're going to have major failure if you crank this engine up. What we thought about doing is putting it back together, putting oil in it, and just cranking it for about a few seconds, just enough to get oil pressure to move around in there and hopefully wash it down into the pan. Then we just take the pan back off and hopefully find it. The Yamaha mechanic says that's a terrible idea, and that it could, if it gets stuck in an oil passage and prevents oil from going to any of the lubricated parts, you would seize the engine. But we weren't thinking about running it for, minutes or a long term. We were just thinking maybe just a few seconds, just enough to get some oil pressure, maybe lodge this thing loose. Another thing I saw was there was a video by another YouTuber who also has an FJR1300. And the first FJR he took it to the shop for a valve check. And I'm going to show you what happened, what he talks about. So right here where this crevice is, you can see on the outside of here, right where the magnet is, there's a little piece of Permatex that's stuck to it. That's from the sealant, from the valve cover. On his, there was one on the inside, on this side. And the mechanic that did it didn't take that little piece loose and put it all back together. Well, that one little piece of Permatex fell off, went down in the engine. It clogged the oil passage and ended up seizing up his motor. Now you can see that that little piece of Permatex, if it goes in the right spot, can prevent oil from going to necessary parts, and it'll smoke your engine. So if that little piece of Permatex smoked an engine, then I'm pretty sure that shim will do catastrophic engine failure to this. Not to mention, the Yamaha mechanic also said that if that shim bounces around and gets stuck in the right places, you could actually mechanically destroy pieces of the engine. There's gears down there, there's a chain down there. If it gets caught in between there, that's catastrophic engine failure. So we don't want that to happen. That's bad. So we need to find this thing. So before we go tearing this engine apart trying to find it. We also had another trick. So John ordered a magnet like this, but with a flex head. So this whole thing is just flexible. Whereas this one can't go into certain places because you have to have it bend. This flexible one should be able to just kind of wiggle all around. And our hope is that with that magnet, we can maybe fish around and try to find it somewhere and just spend time doing it. Outside of that, my only idea is to take the cylinder head off, check the head, make sure it's not stuck in the cylinder head somewhere in some crevice. And then once you have that off, you can actually look down in the block, in the passages, and hopefully fish it out that way. That's my idea. The other idea I have is just put it back together, take it over to Yamaha, and let the Yamaha mechanics pull this engine out and rip it all apart and find it. That would be my idea, although that's not going to be cheap, and I know John doesn't want to spend that kind of money. So this is where we stand. Anyway, I thought I'd make this video because, like I said, nowhere on YouTube have I found a video where somebody had this happen and talks about what they did and how they fixed it and what ended up happening with them. So I thought I would make this video and show everybody what would happen if you don't or if you drop that shim down into the engine and what your options are. So I don't know what we're going to end up doing. So there's got to be another part to this video, and hopefully John will be here when I'm home and I can actually film this process. That's my goal, but he might come over when I'm not home and work on it himself. But either way, I'm going to do another video and let you all know what ended up happening and how we ended up fixing this disaster. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Otherwise, oh, and I know in the comments, somebody's going to say, why didn't you put a rag or a towel or something over this hole? Well, yes, I know. I would have done that. But John is also not a mechanic. And sometimes when you work on things, you make a mistake, you overlook something, you forget to do something. It happens. It's an honest mistake. One that he probably learned a valuable lesson from. But anyway, that's that. What's done is done. It is what it is. So I'm sure next time he will plug that hole first and every hole possible before he pulls the shim out. But hey, we're not going to harp on that. It's done over with. So anyway, keep watching. Stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to do a video on this. And then as far as the SV650, my plan was this week to put the tires on it. As you can see, tires are sitting right over there, courtesy of my friend John, who was nice enough to give me those tires. Thank you, John. I know John watches these videos anyway, so thank you, John. Those tires will be going on the SV650. I was going to do it this week, but due to this, I felt like I needed to help my friend John and try to fix this thing, so the SV650 is on hold. Plus, it's going to snow tomorrow. There's frost on the ground now. It's 34 degrees outside, so the SV650 is on hold for a little while, maybe a week or two. And then I'm going to go get those tires mounted. And then we're going to address the brake issue, so stay tuned for those videos coming up. And anyway, I hope everyone had a great holiday, New Year's and Christmas. I hope you all got some good goodies. And hopefully someone got a new motorcycle. That would be awesome. But anyway, stay tuned and thank you for watching. And if you like this video and you want to see more, hit the like and subscribe button. And we'll catch you all on the next one.